Hi, friends. It's Christine Haas with this edition of COVID Conversations, Faith Over Fear. As a business leader, we all take risks, but right now, so many of us are just terrified of taking even the smallest risk. What if we make the wrong move? What if it causes us to take an even bigger hit to our cash flow? One of the world's best business consultants, Roland Frasier, is joining us today to help us decide what to do now. Roland, thank you for joining us today. Your career is based on leading people in tough times. So grateful to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Christine. I appreciate it.
You have been a co-founder or principal of 5 different Inc. magazine fastest growing companies in everything from e-commerce to real estate to all different types of spaces. And I know you call yourself a recovered attorney, as you put it, but right now you are right in the thick of it, helping even some of the largest companies make some of the very difficult decisions. So tell me a little bit about your world right now. What are you hearing from people? Because I know you consult some pretty big companies.
Sure. Yeah. I am hearing across the board either tell me it's okay, tell me this is going to be okay. I've got several texts that say that. And then I have people who are very confident and say this is a tremendous opportunity for us to be leaders and show people the way while also positioning ourselves and doing some good now and positioning ourselves to be in an even better place once this passes, which at least everyone that I'm talking to believes that it will.
And I know you partner with other big thought leaders and offer those hot seat Zoom calls, which I love. And you give advice to business owners when they try to come on and say, okay, here's my situation. How do you help me or fix this right now? One thing that I think a lot of people are worried about is that they're too far in denial or they're too far into fear. Mm-hmm. How do you manage both? That's the biggest question that I think I'm hearing from some of the calls.
Yeah, I guess the thing that has been very helpful is a friend of mine named Simon Bowen does these models, and so he has one that I've used quite a bit lately, and it's a red line, green line. And so basically he says, okay, regardless of where you are in your mind, put yourself on let's say April of 2020, and let's put a line where you absolutely feel you're going to be beyond this thing. And let's call that April of 2023. And somewhere along that timeline, this is going to end. And you need to have your business survive to that, what he calls the survival line. And there are people who are frozen with fear, they're fear focused, and they are slam on the brakes people, and they're hunkered down and not doing anything. And those people, very likely, if they don't take any action, won't make it past the survival line business-wise, because they'll run out of runway. The runway being, how much cash do I have available, and offset that against my expenses. If you take your income minus your expenses, that gives you your net profit or loss. And most of those businesses are in a negative position right now. And then divide that into your cash on hand. That tells you how many months of runway you have before you run out of runway, and your business has to close. And so generally people believe that if they can make it to that survival line, they'll be fine. The people who are frozen, though, who don't have enough cash to take them past where they see that line, are not going to be in business when this is done. Then there's kind of an amber line of indecision, where people are fumbling around and they're indecisive. They're hunkered down, but then they're ready to move forward, but then they're hunkered down again, and I get that too. It's kind of a, prairie dog, put your head in the sand and then bring it back up and see if it's okay kind of thing. Yeah. And those people will generally probably be in about the same place as they were before 3 years from now. But there are also businesses that will make the right decisions, that will be focused on position and strategy, and they will be significantly, they'll all kind of be close together until this ends. But the people who have continued forward, who have looked for optimizing their operations, and who have doubled down on their marketing in this time when the cost of customer acquisition is about I mean, well, for a lot of things we're doing right now, it's 75% less than it was just a month or so ago. And so the people who are doubling down into that are going to be share of voice high and are going to be the immediate choice of everyone once things start returning to normal. So that's the place that we tell people that they want to be, and walking them through that, a lot of them get it. They're like, yeah, you're right. I have been hunkered down. I have been fear focused, and that's not smart, because for the last 100 years, if you look at all of the challenges and recessions that we've gone through, from the Great Depression in the 1920s to the Great Recession just a few years ago in 2007, 8, 9, throughout every single one of those, the people who have the businesses that have doubled down and leaned into marketing are ahead, have always come out ahead. From it was post cereal in the Depression area, they pulled back. Kellogg's introduced a thing called Rice Krispies with these characters called Snap, Crackle, and Pop, and they left Post behind. Post never recovered. Toyota did it with Volkswagen in the 70s. Pizza Hut and Taco Bell did it against McDonald's in the 90s, and then Amazon as recently as the 2007, 8, 9 did it, and all of them ended up with dramatically larger sales and share of voice, whereas the people who pulled back did not. And I think when you go through the analysis and look at thousands of companies over dozens of recessions that have happened in that period of time, the evidence is pretty irrefutable.
And you mentioned those people who are paralyzed with fear. A lot of them are thinking, I should pivot now, or they start getting that shiny object syndrome. Like, okay, I just saw that maybe e-commerce would be the way to go right now. I'm not bringing in sales, or I just lost a few clients. Maybe this is the time I should start a new business. What do you say to those people who think, oh, let's find something new at this point?
Well, I think it can be good to pivot. I think the first thing is, can you still sell the thing that you sell? If you are a restaurant and you are forbidden by law from selling anything to have customers come in, you can't do business as usual. So if you were, let's say, a fine dining restaurant and you never did delivery or takeout before, this is a time to pivot. You either cannot deliver your service, or you pivot so that you can, or you have zero income, so you need to say, what's my runway? And so we start out saying, are you able to do now what you were able to do before? Yes or no. If you're not able to do what you were able to do before, then yes, you've got to pivot. But to randomly just flit, that's the fumble line, right? If you're randomly flitting from, I'm going to do e-commerce today, and I should sell toilet paper, and now I should sell masks, and now I should, go into the gold market because that's going to be stable and, survival, right? Those people are, I think, going to always be, they're never really going to have a truly successful business, because they're not able to take a leadership position in the thing that they do. And concentration usually in one area is what it takes to succeed. You don't diversify until you've succeeded in that one area. So if that's helpful at all, I think it's like, if they haven't already conquered that one area, and they can stay in business, then they should adapt and pivot, not completely abandon whatever industry they're in.
I love a good example that was on one of the Zoom calls that you had with the people in the hot seat. And there was somebody, and you'll remember the story probably, who said, my restaurant is suffering. He was out of the country, but you brought up the idea of maybe bringing vending machines into the buildings. And immediately during that call, you came up with a whole different business model, and even suggested he contact you because you might be a part of it. And so one thing that I want to, talk about is the idea of mentorship and networking right now, because I see so much value in talking to people who may have been competitors before, but combining networks right now seems to really be smart with people who are ethical.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's we always say your network equals your net worth, right? And so it's really important in this time to pull together and to be able to call on your network to help you and look for ideas and support. And if you've got one, it's fantastic. It's time to lean in. And if you're doing well, because there's several companies doing well. I had a meeting, was it night before last, with someone who actually their business is up over 100% because they
Wow.
happen to be in, they're fortunate in a software space where their business is very in demand now.
Yeah.
And so they are able to reach out and help other people. And the people that are in that network are able to look to them and say, are there possibilities for us to partner with you? Can we be an affiliate for you? So you're absolutely right. It's really important.
So there are some of my clients are in the legal field, and they have not necessarily embraced digital marketing or networking or any of that very much. They've been very happy in their own business cycle, and right now they're hitting a huge spot. Um, you know, Embracing virtual, embracing any kind of telecommunication. It's just not their thing. What would you say to people, not just in the legal field, but people who are in those industries where they are now going, oh gosh, I wish I would have done that about 6, maybe 5 years ago, and they're trying to catch up? How do you do that? And do you hire staff to allocate that? Or do you try to do it on your own? What is your suggestion on that?
Well, I think that especially right now, it is the ideal time to start. When's the best time to plant a tree? 100 years ago is the best time. Today is the second best time. When's the
Yeah.
best time to get your legal or what professional or whatever marketing that you're talking about doing right now? It's today, because share of voice is on sale. Share of voice is really important. If you can be the dominant brand right now during this time when many of your competitors have pulled back, and media, the cost of advertising is on sale because everyone else pulling back. Even just imagine Amazon, which I think accounted for about 30% of PPC in many, many categories, has discontinued their advertising right now. So there's all this ad inventory that's not being taken up. So the prices from Facebook and Google and all those places are going down. And we're at 75% off, 85% off, 90% off what we were paying before. Meaning, if we were paying $100 to get a lead before, now it costs us $10. Well, that changes the whole game. It makes things profitable that weren't before. So if you're one of those service providers like attorneys or architects or doctors or professionals or whoever, right now, your ability to get leads that will be valuable to you in 90 days, 180 days, 200 days, because there's a long cycle to getting that business, right? I mean, it's not typically, maybe if you're a PI attorney, but even if you are, and you're saying, call right now if you've been injured, well, daggone, when will you have a bigger opportunity to pay 80% or 90% less to get that lead and be out there? So I would not try to do it yourself. I would get the professionals that know what software to use and how to do this from your home so you can continue to be properly socially distanced, and how to get distribution and public relations. We hire professionals for all those people, and we're digital marketer, right? I mean,
Yes.
we
Yeah.
use you and other people to help us with all of that stuff, because the experts are the experts and they're going to do it the best.
Yeah, you don't want to try to learn something right now when you can do what you normally do and make more money. The one thing that I've seen from my own clients that I've been blessed is the fact that, some people have a great voice right now. And as you mentioned, getting out there and branding yourself right now is the time to do it, because in 6, 9 months, you're going to be like, God, I wish I wasn't watching Netflix all that time. I wish I would have stood out. The big thing that I ask of you, because you've just helped so many different types of companies, from the largest to even some of those startups out there that have had amazing futures. Where's the hole right now? What can people do to fill the gap at this moment? Because there are holes. There is always opportunity in the chaos.
Yeah, I think what I would encourage people to do is think about consumer behavior and the kinds of things that you're selling, and say, okay, I am selling, and let's say you're selling real estate, because that's a pretty hard hit industry.
Yeah.
If you're selling real estate, a lot of people would consider that something that could be postponed. You can wait on that. If you can message that in a way so that people perceive it as an essential,
Right.
or they perceive it as something that they are rewarding themselves with right now. And a reward can be many different things. It could be reward yourself with a beach house if you've got the money to do that, but it could be reward yourself with more space. Things have changed. We're going to be doing business at home more. So if you've been thinking about buying a home, why not buy it now when rates have been slashed to zero and everything is on sale? Because it won't be in a few months. Mm-hmm. And so if ever you were thinking about treating yourself to more space, to give each of your kids a room, to have more land, to have an office at home. A lot of people who are working remote right now are saying, this is kind of cool. I mean, what if I didn't get on an airplane every week? And what if I didn't have to go to an office with those ugly lights that shine down on us, right? And so that, I think a lot of that's positioning. And another way to reposition would be in advertising would be simply telling your story, which you are awesome at. I know you did a lot of brand story work for us, and telling stories, really, especially right now, to create a bond with people in this time. Telling stories is the best way to build a brand. And now with the ability to do that, costing so much less, I think that's a place to be. And then last but not least, because many people are still okay, they're pained but patient, or they're doing fine, they're comfortably well off, or they're just carpe diem, screw it. I think they just closed the beaches at Manhattan Beach in Los Angeles today, I believe, because they had thousands of people that were gathering on the beach, just like nothing's happened. And the governor was like, this is astounding, right? So there are people who are just going to say, screw it, I'm going to do this. All of those people are still buying. And so the difference in their buying behavior is that they're either looking for something that they can say, I'm going to reward myself. It's expensive, but it's worth it, so I'm going to pay. Or I'm going to be substituting. So if you're thinking about people right now, we'll either be substituting less expensive things for more expensive things, in which case you should say, what is my product or service a substitute for that's more expensive, and message that way. Or they might say, I am looking for the ability to buy a higher level premium thing for the same money that I would have paid for a less premium thing a few months ago. And so in that case, same thing, you would be positioning your premium thing to an even higher level audience. So those are just some things that I think are, I don't know if they're holes as much as they are really, to me, the biggest opportunities.
Good opportunities, yes. Listening to Brendan Burchard talk, and he was mentioning just having the internal dialogue that allows you to be a strong leader throughout the day, and really having that mindset. Can you give some tips about how you start your day and how you make sure your tone and your tenor is on spot for people who look up to you and look to you for kind of, as you mentioned, the text message, tell me it's going to be okay.
Right. Well, I start very early because I find I can get a tremendous amount done. So I'm usually up between 4:30 and 5 starting. And then my perfect start is generally to get up and to just think about 3 things that I am grateful for. And 2 of those things are different from one. The thing that I think about, like I might think about my family or friends or things like that, but then I think about one thing that I take for granted that I should be grateful for, like I can walk, or I can see, or I can hear. And I mean, if you do that, and it's that's a truly appreciative way, and you think about what it would be like if you didn't have the gift that many of us just take for granted, that's a huge reframe. And I think it really starts you on a great path. I then do meditation. I'm really, really, really have a hard time with meditation, but I think it is really important. And so I can get kind of on the low side, 3 to 5 minutes, but on the good side, once in a while, I'll get up to 10 or so. And it's hard. So I'll do that. That's something I aspire to be much better at. And then I go into workout, and then I take a shower or a steam bath. And then when I'm done, it's still only 7 o'clock. And so then I can go. But I've framed myself with gratitude and just a real good energy to start the day with.
I couldn't think of a better person to ask this last question. One actionable step that you can suggest that somebody takes starting tomorrow to build that muscle and get that repetition to get out of fear.
I think that knowledge helps with fear. So I believe the very first thing I would do, and this is something that I will do to pull back people who think it's the end of the world in their business, and that's simply to run the numbers and say, okay, let's actually look at where you are right now and what are your expenses. What expenses can we cut that are not necessary, not necessary or helpful, and what can we do to accelerate your income? What can we do to increase your credit? And then at the end of the day, and then we take the cash that you've got. If you do all of that stuff and you say, look at all the loans that are available right now from SBA, and they just signed, I think today, the $2 trillion plus stimulus package. There's 357 billion, I think, for business in there, for small business. So I think that if you look at all of that stuff, then you say, it's going to be okay. I can go 12 months. I mean, one of the ones we did was 108 months. One of the calls that Perry did with one of our guys. And it was like, they were freaking out, and they can go 108 months, right?
They'll be okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's it, is not just to have somebody say it's going to be okay, and you have to believe that, because that's hard to believe if you're in an irrational fear situation. But if you say, okay, I understand your concern. Let's actually think about, let's go through this exercise and say, are you really going to be okay? Because so far we haven't run across anybody that isn't. And that's because if you think about this and you don't go into that hunker down fear place, you are going to be okay.
Well, Roland, you run and have founded War Room. For anybody who has not heard of it, our viewers need to check it out. We're going to have that graphic up for anybody who wants to check it out. It's fantastic. I'm the huge advocate, but basically talk a little bit about, you were talking about the power of networking. What is War Room like? And tell me about what goals and achievements people have through War Room.
Yeah, War Room is 200 businesses there. We have people that are doing a few $1 million a year, all the way up to 3 businesses now that are doing several $1 billion a year. And we just get together normally in person, but right now we've been doing it online. And normally we do it quarterly, but right now we've been doing it almost every day, just to be sure that everybody is taken care of. And what's cool about it is it's like with any mastermind, and there's lots of great masterminds out there, that you have people who are pulling together to share what's working, and you have people who have been where you want to go, who can reach down and pull you up to where you want to be and help. And that might be in solving problems. It might be in figuring out growth engines for your company. It might even just be making introductions to people. Yes. And everyone is sharing openly and authentically and pulling for you. And that feels good. And also in business can be very lonely as an entrepreneur. You know this, right? It's the people around you that aren't entrepreneurs can't really relate. And so to get other people who understand what you're going through and you can really talk about it in an intelligent way, that's worth a lot.
It really is. And I think what I love the most about that community is that people see your blind spots. They see things like you pointed out to me, certain things in my business that I didn't even see. Or when you get weak or question things, somebody is there to tell you, this is your strong spot. You're missing it. So I absolutely love that. Well, anything that I missed that you would like to offer, Roland? You've just been a fantastic wealth of information.
No, if folks are listening to podcasts, we'd love them to come and listen to Business Lunch if they get a chance. And other than that, I'm on all the socials with /Roland Frasier. Happy to chat with anybody. I answer all my own stuff. I just really think it's important for all of us to help right now. Anybody who has anything to offer other people, this is the time to step up and offer that, and really not think so much about making money. Think about helping other people.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And at the end of the day, what can you provide to your clients and be of value? And it'll always come back in true dividends. And you're a great example of that. Roland Frasier, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Christine.
Thanks. And thank you for joining us for this last edition of COVID Conversation. So grateful for you to listen today and get inspired by what areas of life that really need some work right now. A lot of people are in fear, and we want to dig deep into how we can really connect with our clients and our business owners and really come together as almost a family and a community in a time of need. So thank you for watching. You can always check my website at christinehaas.com. And certainly we'll have all the information for Roland Frasier and the fantastic networking group War Room as well. Thanks for watching.